So old. So, didn't come here to talk at all, but I do have a few things. My name's Nikkole Salter. Thank you for all the familiar faces. It touches my heart. This is like family, like truly. Some people go to work, they can care less about those people. Whenever I see you guys, so that, and I love you, I do, and I love you. Turn to somebody, tell them you love them. Turn to somebody, tell them you care about them. Turn to somebody, tell them you're excited to see him, Rashad. What's up? Astounding. This doesn't have to happen. People be dying. We'll talk about that later. All right. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to be about it. And so I have a presentation for you, but I don't know how to plug it up. So I'm going to talk you through it. There's this wonderful slide. Oh, I'm getting help. It says, cultivating a thriving Black theater ecology. That's what we're looking to imagine. We've got some wonderful pillars. What you need? Just to plug that in? Okay. We have some wonderful pillars offered to us by the divine Mary Schmidt Campbell. Absolutely divine. Oh, that's my chat GPT. Excuse me. Cover myself, and I'm back. So, structural considerations for the health and development of a permanence in Black theater. If some of you were at the previous Catalyst conversation, I presented this wonderful kind of concept of what the theater ecology is. Like, what are we talking about that we say we are? And how do we begin to build health in that? But I am one person. I'm not making the whole ecology. That's not happening. So today we're inviting everyone in this room to that process. Imagination is required. So much of our storytelling, I think in general, in Western culture, perhaps to make a broad generalization since I'm at it, is really about reflecting humanity, the mirror of humanity, right? But storytelling has the amazing capacity to project. And if we don't spend any time practicing what we want, bringing it to life on stage, we can't have it. We're just gonna keep repeating what we've seen. We're gonna keep reflecting on, on what we have. So, what is an ecology? It's a branch of biology that deals with the relation of organisms to one another and their physical surroundings. So when we think of these types of ecosystems, there are like 7 types in the world, terrestrial, there are 5 aquatic, they've been studied, there are seasons, et cetera, et cetera. There are all kinds of ways to think about what our system is. There are solar systems, there's our body systems. How are we gonna look at Black theater ecology? Are we gonna look at it regionally? Who knows? Also, we're talking about the health and well-being of our theater ecology as a baseline, because we don't want to stay at health, we want to move to thriving, right? But as a baseline, what does it mean to be in the state free of illness and injury? What are the illnesses within our Black theater ecology? What is the harm being perpetuated, the injuries that are going unhealed? How do we actually just get healthy? And then, how do we get to prosperous, growing, and flourishing? We be wanting to skip steps, don't we? No, you can't have thriving if you don't have health. Yes? So, into our purpose today. How do Black theater stakeholders relate to one another and the world at large? Because we're talking about building an ecosystem. We're talking about building relationships. What are the expectations of these relationships? What are the boundaries of these relationships? What are the benefits? What are the costs? What are those expectations? How do Black theater stakeholders relate to one another in the world at large to prevent illness and injury So we have to heal it, and then we have to build a structure that prevents it from happening again. And then how do Black theater stakeholders relate to one another in the world at large to promote growth and development? Yes? This is your job, it's your assignment, you got it? So we have the Black theater ecosystem. Is it built around institutions? Is it built around individuals? Is it built around the narrative itself? What is the center? Is there a center of what we're doing? We have to begin to divine and have imagination for these things. So, how are we related? Or will you be my play cousin? What's wrong with this picture? Anybody? What's wrong with this picture? What is it? It's linear. It's linear, and it's what else? Hierarchical and harmful. This is how we were taught the world was when we were all in second grade. This is what we were taught. Of course, we build systems and institutions and relationships that reflect our understanding of this world. This is our understanding. We now know biologically, physiologically, that this is not the case. It doesn't even work in your body that way. Can you do without your brain, your heart, your pinky toe, right? It all affects the other thing. So if it doesn't look like this, and it does look like this, a system of interdependence, of networked interdependence that is not linear, it is definitely not hierarchical. How do we begin to imagine this kind of world for Black theater? So what is an ecosystem? When you get your assignment, we're gonna break up in groups and go in the hallway and make a lot of noise and make all these people real mad. We're thinking about energy flow. Where does our energy come from? How does it flow from section to section, from system to system, from smaller community to smaller community, et cetera? And what happens to that energy as it touches down? If you lose some power each time that energy tries to feed a thing, how is it regenerated? How are the nutrients being recycled? What feeds what? What feeds what? What feeds what to keep everything alive? And how biodiverse is it? Just like your gut microbiome needs diversity in order for you to be healthy, our ecosystem also needs diversity. What is diversity in Black theater? What are we talking about? We always talk about the EDI work. I work at a historically Black college. They often want to not talk about EDI work because they're like, we all Black. Like there's not diversity within us. We keep talking about we not a monolith, but we don't want to talk about none of this diversity. How do we account for in our system and promote the kind of biodiversity that can allow us to be resilient and promote well-being? Yes, yes? So this is what I presented last time. And I wish I could make it bigger because I can't even see it. But it really looks at theater itself through the lens of various markets. How is money being made on various fronts? But I, even today, as I speak to you in draft, am considering what is it like for the center of that to perhaps be the narrative itself and not the varying markets of money making, not the economy of it, but the ecology of it. I provided this for you out in the hallway. Your job, to go out in the hallway and to have 3 discussions. The first discussion is about the kind of ecosystem that we have. Who are these stakeholders? What is this system that we have currently? And complete this activity. Create this visual representation of what you think it is. What is health? And how can health be infused into the ecosystem that you've created? And then what does it mean to thrive? And how can you point to someone now for inspiration, or something now, an institution or a program that you feel is thriving? What are the components, the elements of that? How are you defining this thriving? And then how can you infuse it into your understanding of that ecosystem? Then you're gonna pick somebody in your group to come tell us how to fix everything. You have 15 minutes. All right, so there are 7 easels. We're all adults. Go pick an easel with the group. There'll probably be 10 minutes for you to do that or so. I'm looking at Rachel. Give Rachel a hand. There are 10? 10 people in a group. Thank you. She figured that out. Rachel and your colleague that helped us, whose name was? Claire. Give Rachel and Claire a hand. They did all the work out there. Everybody rise, shake off the feeling like you didn't come here to do nothing, and go out there and save the world. Welcome back. So I know this has been an exercise that was way too quick to change the entire world. But large change is started by the movement of very small stones. We must begin together, we must begin somewhere, and we are a part of an ongoing conversation. We are not the starters of a thing. We are just the people with this leg of the run. We want to run our leg well. We want to pick up time, and then you have to pass it off the way someone passed it to you. So this dust stirring that we have is really about creating the imaginative capital that is the beginning of manifestation. You can't make it if we can't do it. And the other part of this conversation that I hope you take away from your time together with your group and our time together here collectively, I hope you take away the idea that you can't actually impact a thing if you don't know what it is. There are too many tennis players on this football team. I'm gonna just let that hang in the air. There is a whole person in a booth trying to help you. Let them do their job. There's a whole offensive line. Let them do that job. There is a whole bench ready to go. Let them do their job. But if you don't know what you're a part of, you are on the field throwing and catching and running and hitting and defending. And like, that's what you're doing? Of course we're not winning. Of course we're not winning. It's not because you're not capable and a darn good football player. That's not the way this game works. We need one another. We need this ecology to work, and we need to understand how it works so we can make cogent offerings for plays we can run. So if you are on the football field kicking the ball, if you are in the middle of a court and you're like, which game is this? Should I have on a uniform? You need to understand more about what our lovely Mary Schmidt-Campbell offered. You cannot win this game if you haven't become proficient with understanding how it's played. You ever played spades with a person who can play? Have you ever played dominoes and you can't count? And you're like, why are they tricking on me like this? 20. You're like, damn. And you're like, oh, that was my 20. Nah, you didn't claim it. Sorry, it's not the way it works. You can't play. It's not that you can't count. So I'd like to hear from a few of the teams. Briefly, your revelations. Something that resonated with you that was a part of an epiphany or an insight that helped to advance the conversation in your group. I'm gonna come around to you. Who wants to do that? I'm looking at y'all. We in the room together. Stop it. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Nikkole. My name is Patricia McGregor. I am an artist and artistic director of New York Theater Workshop, and I'm going to go first because we got to do a little bit of this, you and I, at a Catalyst event. And so my group, what we came up with is the goal, I'm pulling from some language you and I talked about as well, is we want to operate like a potluck of intersectional liberation. Intersectional liberation was a big part of what we talked about. So we want, and what our group talked about, how can that be a potluck? The theme is bring a plate, take a plate. Who is invited? Ancestors, artists, established companies, emerging companies, companies yet to be dreamed of, and collectives the same. Historically black, intersectional, emerging, PWI, and anyone who is going to bring a good plate. Training institutions, church, the street, audiences, international, asking the questions, what do we need, community, funders, critics, journalists, developers, and et cetera, and some of the rules are that we've got to figure out a way to break inherited generational traumas in our practices internally and externally. We need to have some community guidelines around those. We are going to spice things with 3 Ps: purpose, being porous, and looking for permanence. No raisins in the potato salad. And the goal is to just keep learning, keep growing. That's what we came up with today, but that's the part of the porousness. So that's a little snapshot, I think, of what we came up with.
The intersectional potluck. Can I get one more? Yes. Let me drive around y'all. We got visuals. Take the stage. Do your thing. No, go ahead. There you
go. Hey, y'all. I'm Ezra Ezzard. I'm the managing director of Crossroads Theater Company. I guess we got all the marketers in one group, but a lot of what we talked about is the sector and the ecosystem in which we all are working and some of the issues that we face. But if we think about what we all know as kind of sort of the marketing flywheel and think about how we have different audiences feeding into each other, we thought about, first we identified a few stakeholders, and then we thought about, great, this is our community, right? We have our culture, or various cultures, or the diversity that exists across blackness, or within blackness. We have our artists and creativity, which should feed Karmas, or where we go to get our funding, which should also go back to feed the community. And so a lot of what we talked about is the sector, or the nonprofit, whatever it is, being broken, and coming up with a different approach to how we do our business. Why can't we go into every office and demand or ask for $20 million as opposed to asking for 10 to do a community talk back? And so the way I think about it is like, if we all graduated from the top institutions in the country with these degrees, we should be able to graduate and say, I want to start a company, and demand that there is a system that will support that. They're doing it in San Francisco. Every MBA graduate from every institution in this country that's in an entrepreneurship program can graduate and have support that says that they can get hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for whatever venture that they want to start. Why can't we approach the black theater in the same way? Especially now when our culture, from our community, with our artists, is America's largest export. So, just a little thoughts.
Is there one more? There are 3 more. There are fires burning. I have 1, 2, 3. Go, all right, we got another visual. Hop on up. Yeah, let's take a look at that visual. Visuals are what's up. You got it. There you go.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm Shalewa McCall. I am an independent artist and an arts educator to middle and high school students. And I'm here to represent our table. Potluck, we got you. So our conversation emerged from the position of thinking about institutions that are thriving, and we generated a list across disciplines, across regions, across scale, from the most high profile to more community-based groups. And then we envisioned, in this way, a gathering place for community, a table, around a diversity of identity and individuals, all of the different kinds of institutions that we imagined. We made stakeholders, artisans, I can't read all of the writing, sorry. Young people and funders, the foundation, the four legs of the table, and coming and going and an exchange and mutuality were the artists, the artisans, and the people in this room who are making the table. We are complete.
Well, let's come on up here. Last but not least.
Hello, my name is Ahmed Igbenosun. I'm the executive director of Jack Arts. Thank you. And, you know, with the time that we had, I must be honest that we really got into like a healthy conversation around some of the current states of the theater, so we didn't necessarily get through everything, but I wanted to share some of the thoughts that our group came up with. So when we think about and again, this is Jabari. Jabari is a student at New School, graduating this year, young, powerful actor, writer, just, you know, just pay attention to the brother. All right, stakeholders. So we thought about like the stakeholders and we listed, you know, theater owners, creative directors, you know, the writers, the artists, the community, the musicians, you know, the foundations, the investors. And then from there, we kind of like outlined what are three things that we felt like could embody all these people that are part of this ecosystem, that are part of this community. And we talked about them being the creators, the audience, or, you know, expands community, as well as the institutions. We understand that the reality is that these institutions are the ones who pick the artists. These institutions are the ones who get the funding and chooses who gets to be displayed. They are the ones that set culture, right? That's the reality that we live in. And that oftentimes is dictated by money. So the ecosystem that we visualize in this setting, right, is a light bulb. With the base, with the base being these institutions. And we even put a switch over there. In my head, I think the switch is the money, because that's what gets it all powered up, right? But then the light, which is being emitted, we put arrows both ways and back and forth, is kind of the way that we see it. Right? These houses that are holding these spaces, these houses that are holding these audience, these houses that are holding these creators, these artists, are dependent on this image that we kind of displayed. And then we, you know, briefly began to talk about the current health of the theater. We really didn't get too deep into this conversation, but some of the things that we did say is that there is scarcity, there's lack, there's silence, right? I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit, right? There's sustainability, there's diversity, and then, you know, something that I really began to ask our group is like, well, what are the healthy aspects of it? Where are we powerful? And the answer that came up before we had to close the doors is that our relationships, right? Because that's where it all comes from. So if we had more time, I think we would have gone back and put relationships as the base that powers the entire institutions, the creators, the funding. That is the vision that we're looking for. So with that, thank you.
Give it up for those thoughts. That's powerful. All right, everybody, close your eyes. Inhale. And exhale with a collective breath. Yes, Mr. McCroy. Inhale. And exhale. I want to make room for the people who are not particularly visual to use other senses to take 1 minute of your life to imagine what you actually want it to be. And then I want you to make the brave choice and allow yourself to feel like you already have it. So use one of your senses. If you're a visual person, see it. And the olfactory, if you can smell it. If it's something that it sounds like. If it's a sensation somewhere on your body. Which one of these senses can ignite your imagination for the Black theater ecology that thrives? And then take the bold move to allow yourself to feel like you already have it. And once you have that feeling, allow it to be expressed in your face, in a sound, in a movement. Let it come out. What that fire theater ecology feels like for you. Everybody inhale together. Exhale. Thank you so much.